Alright boys, this is the last truly wireless video that you're gonna see on this channel for a really long time. We're getting back into audiophile stuff very soon, but this right here, this is the last one. Finally. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's get this thing out of the way. So, the contestants on the roster are the Airpods Gen 2, the Airpods Pro, the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus, the Sennheiser True Momentum 2, and the Sony WF-1000 XM3. So we got a total of 5 different truly wireless earbuds here to compare. And as I begin discussing, I'm going to start taking them out. So, let's start with the contents. What do each of these offer? Well, as far as contents go, the winners here are the Galaxy Buds Plus and the XM3s. The Galaxy Buds Plus offer a total of 3 silicone tips and 3 silicone wingtips to customize them to fit your ear shape best. Although the XM3 do not come with wingtips, which they really should, but whatever. They do come with a total of 7 ear tips, which are 4 silicone and 3 foam. The Sennheisers come with 4 silicone tips. The Airpods Pro come with 3 silicone tips. The Airpods Gen 2 come with no tips at all because they do not use ear tips. That's just the design style of them. And that's about it. Now, all other contents such as chargers, instruction guides, carrying cases, they're pretty much the same. Give or take some minor differences, which will be described in upcoming sections. So just a quick comparison of the cases, now that I finally took them out and they are just lying there. As you can see, the smallest one of the bunch is the Airpods Gen 2 case. It's almost as small as the Airpods Pro case, but not quite. It's still a little smaller than that. Second place to that, I would say, would be, well, the AirPods Pro case, which is just a slightly bit larger. Then the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus case is definitely still on the small side. And you could argue it fits a little more comfortably in your pocket because it's a more narrow fit as opposed to the AirPods or AirPods Pro case. I don't know if you can see there, but it is more of a pill shape as opposed to like a rectangular box shape. Next on this list, I would say it's a tie between the Momentum's really premium looking cloth case and premium feeling, and the Sony XM3's good plastic, but large and bulky storage container. Yeah, this ain't no carrying case. This is a storage container. As far as the build quality is concerned, the winners here are the AirPods Pro and the XM3s. So the AirPods Pro feature a glossy white plastic finish and offer a nice shape that fits most people's ears comfortably and adequately. Although they are glossy, the finish doesn't really feel cheap to me. No, they don't feel like extremely high quality, but they don't feel cheap either. I wouldn't say these would break in like a day or so. Now, the XM3 on the flip side are made of a matte black plastic that feels slightly more premium and grippier to hold in one's hand. Also, the XM3 featured touch-sensitive buttons, as you can see right there. That would be like the glossy look that the gloss. There you go, that glossy look right there. In between the matte, those are the touch-sensitive buttons. Now, while the AirPods Pro features squeeze-sensitive areas that perform similar functions, the XM3 features those glossy buttons and perform a very similar function. Just, it's your cup of tea, whatever matters. Whatever feels best to you. The builds of the Sennheiser and Galaxy Buds Plus are quite similar, I'm gonna be honest. And that's all right for the Buds Plus. They feel very decent, very adequate. But that's a pretty big complaint for the Sennheiser Momentum because these things are literally twice the price of the Galaxy Buds Plus and yet feel really not that premium at all. So come on, Sennheiser, what are you doing? For the Buds Plus, the build quality, or the build design here, the design itself here it's alright, it's adequate, but they do present a few issues with maneuverability. So whenever you're putting it on, you're taking it off, you're pretty much having to grab it from this area right there. And because the button is right there, this touch sensitive area, it's pretty hard to, like, honestly, when you take it on and put it on, take it off, you end up touching the area very often. So, I mean, that's come on. The AirPods feature that classic build that you've seen If you haven't seen these before, you don't even live in a third world country. Like, you live in the middle of a rainforest. If you are anybody, you've had to have seen this design before, whether it was on Earpods back then in like early 2010s, or here on the Airpods Gens 1 and 2. Their design is so universal that there is no way to modify it to fit one's ears best, unless you purchase some aftermarket wingtips, which, by the way, will not fit in the case. You're stuck with what you got. The fact that they are not water resistant is quite the deal breaker for certain people who require that protection for, say, exercising or living in warmer climates where sweating is inevitable, just like, you know. As far as comfort is concerned, the winners here, well, it's a little complicated. So look, I'm gonna just go down the list and then I'll explain what I mean by the list. First place, AirPods Pro. Second place, Galaxy Buds Plus. Third place, the True 2. And then fourth place, the XM3's dead last by a long shot. So where do the AirPods Gen 2 sit here? Well, although 4 out of 5 of the contestants feature an earbud type of design, the AirPods Pro have a slightly different way of attaching the ear tips. Because of their lack of a plastic stem that goes inside your ear canal, the AirPods Pro are actually a very comfortable headphone or earphone. As you can see there is no like plastic stem that goes inside your ear. They have a special, I don't know if it's proprietary yet, but it's definitely original and unique. Literally, listen. It snaps on into place, so it's very, very comfortable to use these, and it won't feel like you have a plastic thing going inside your ears. So kudos to Apple for actually thinking of that. That is actual innovation right there. I really appreciate that. As far as the AirPods Gen 2 are concerned, I found that they either fit people perfectly, like a glove, or they simply fall out practically immediately. Without a way to customize the shape or fit of the Gen 2, I believe their general fitment to be far too inconsistent to place anywhere near the top of the list or have a definite spot for it. So I went ahead and placed these tied with the first, second, and third place options. So it could be anywhere between 1 through 4. It really depends on the person. Me in particular, I would place these, like for my particular ear shape, I would kind of place these in the second to third place spot, just because I'm not gonna lie, they're not a very secure fit, but after using them, after going outside, after walking with these, honestly, it's not as terrible because there is no wire weighing these down and pulling on them. They don't fall out of my ears, and they really do like just blend into my head, and I forget that I'm wearing these. So honestly, they're really pretty good in comfort, but they're not as secure as I would like them to be. Now the Galaxy Buds Plus, they do feature additional wingtips that allow for further customization to fit your particular needs. And the unit is far smaller than the Sennheiser, so they were placed right above the Sennheisers. Like, let me make something clear here. These, their fit's alright, but it's not terrible. For my ears, I'm not a fan of the fit, honestly. I'd rather go with a different earbud as far as the fit is concerned. These, they fit almost like a glove. I mean, these things are amazing with the tips because they end up protruding into your ear canal, and then they end up pushing back to the point where they rest on the back of the ear. So you have the back of the ear and your ear canal kind of holding it in place like this, especially if you choose the right size wingtip. So I mean, these are so close to perfect. They're not perfect, but they're very, very good. Dead last on this list, shame on you, Sony. One of the biggest gripes I have with this particular earphone. I mean, God, I'll go into detail later on in the review, but long story short, I'm mad. Like, I am mad here because, okay, the units are huge. The inner plastic tube that goes into the ear canal is far too noticeable and intrusive. Here, let me take this off. And a lack of wingtips to stabilize its fitment make this option one of the worst truly wireless earphones I have had the displeasure of sticking up my ears. Only on a good day will these actually stay in, and that's only for a few minutes before I have to like heavily readjust. Otherwise, they're just gonna fall off, or if I end up sticking them too deep into my ears, my ear canals get very sore within like a few minutes. So No, at least offer some wingtips, please. Now on the tech side of things, we have a tie for first place. Here is the list in order. The tie is between the Sennheiser True 2 and the Galaxy Buds Plus. These have a tie for first place. Second place, or well, I guess you could say third place, the Airpods Gen 2. Fourth place, Airpods Pro. And last place, the XM3s. As far as range is concerned, both the Sennheiser and the Buds Plus offer around 40 steps, and the Airpods Gen 2 offer around 35, and the Airpods Pro offer around 20, and the XM3s offer around 15. Why do I keep saying and? And water resistance. And I need to stop saying and. As far as water resistance goes, the only two that offer the water resistance are the Airpods Pro and the Galaxy Buds Plus. Literally, I mean, the Sennheisers, the Gen 2s, and the XM3s do not offer such a luxury. They simply don't. No! Whatever. It's the cheapest one on the list anyway. So as far as playback features are concerned, other than the Airpods Gen 2, pretty much all the other contestants on the list offer the full playback control functionality that you would expect from, well, a wireless headphone of this price range, give or take a few $100s. But as far as Bluetooth is concerned, all of these feature Bluetooth 5.0. Latency. This one, this time, is very important because part of the thing having to do with sound quality is having a decent amount of latency. I mean, like, as reduced as possible, because odds are, if you care about sound quality, you're probably going to use this to watch, like, movies on the go, some TV shows where the sound quality really matters. And here's the thing, when you're watching audio and video put together, you want to make sure that they are as put together as possible, not out of sync. So latency, I think, is pretty important here. And as far as latency goes, I am happy to report that the Galaxy Buds Plus, the XM3s, and the Airpods Pro all offer some very, like, practically non-existent latency. And I mean, like, it's gotten pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Sure, if you compare it to a wired headphone, there's this teensy little smidge, but the smidge of latency here is so tiny that you probably won't notice it unless you're really looking for it. On the flip side, the Airpods Gen 2 and the True 2s do exhibit a little bit of latency. It's still not terrible, but well, I would say it's noticeable for sure. As far as battery life is concerned, as far as first place is concerned, Galaxy Buds Plus take it. 11 hours on a single charge versus 22 hours overall. Next we have the True 2, which offers 7 hours on a single charge, but 28 hours overall. Next we have the XM3s, which feature 6 hours on a single charge, or 24 hours overall. Fourth on the list are the Gen 2s, which offer 5 hours on a single charge, or 24 overall. Last, but, well, I guess least, would be the AirPods Pro, which offer 4.5 hours on a single charge, and 24 overall. So in this particular situation, it is entirely up to you whether you prefer to have the longest overall battery life or the longest battery life on a single charge. So I know I gave these the first place, even though technically speaking they have the least overall battery life, but I feel that the single charge capacity is equally or arguably more important than the overall, because think about it. You're going to be using these, what if you're going to be using these for hours on end, and then you have to stop what you're doing because you have to put them away and charge them and like wait for them to charge up and then you can use them again. That, to me, that's problematic. On the flip side, I very much doubt you're going to be needing more than like 20 some hours overall in between an opportunity when you can charge your earbuds. So, I mean, I honestly give the single charge priority over the overall. But it is important to note that although these offer the best single charge, they offer the worst overall charge. So, last on the list is noise cancellation. As far as noise cancellation is concerned, the AirPods Pro, the XM3, and the Sennheiser do have noise cancellation. And out of all of these, the Pros are the least cumbersome or noticeable with the ANC turned on, while the Sennheiser are the least effective. And by that I mean, you know, when you turn it on, do you hear some sort of hiss? Do you hear some sort of annoyance? Does something sound a little strange? And yeah, in order, that would be AirPods Pros, XM3s, Sennheiser True 2. Now the Buds Plus do not offer active noise cancellation, they do not, but they do offer passive noise cancellation, which works about as effectively as most other earbuds, so not a big complaint unless you really want that noise cancellation. Last of all, the Airpods Gen 2 do not offer noise cancellation of any kind. Now again, depending on who you are, what your activity is, this can actually be a benefit because they are as open as possible and allow you to hear your surroundings, or they sound less like you're wearing something and plugging your ears. So it's a situational thing. But as far as, you know, canceling noise, which is the objective of this subheading, yeah, they're the least effective. Now to jump into the most important section of this video and the main reason you are here, the sound. Okay, a quick couple notes before we jump into the sound comparison. The Airpods Pro were tested using the Dakoni bullets, which are these right here. These are not the stock ear tips, but they can be purchased off of Dakoni's website for like $15 a single pair, or 3 pairs for like $30. Now to my ears, they don't really affect the sound in a really noticeable way, but they do improve the comfort and the fitment, so I highly recommend anybody who's buying the AirPod Pros to buy these ear tips as well. They really will improve the overall fit and the overall experience. Also, the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus are being tested utilizing the soft preset on the Galaxy Wear app, or the Galaxy Buds Plus app, depending on what operating system you're using. Since this setting sounds the most accurate as opposed to the stock setting, which sounds more like a kind of V-shaped and spiky in the treble. I'm also testing it in this manner since the EQ applied using its app only applies to this particular unit and nothing else. Therefore, you could apply the setting once and completely forget that there is an EQ running. So I really like that. It's essentially no EQ. It's just a quick correction from the get-go and you're good to go. Now, similar thing with the XM3s. They are being tested using the priority on sound quality setting, obviously, with the Sony Connect app's EQ set to -1 decibel at 6.3 kilohertz, which sound the most correct to me, while tempering with the stock frequency the least. There is a quick note to that. You can also apply an EQ setting of -2 decibels at 6.3 kilohertz and -1 decibel at 15.6 kilohertz to reach a more neutral sound. But I wanted to test these as correct as possible, but without any huge adjustments to them so that they don't completely change the entire headphone and what it is. With that said, let's jump into the review. As far as bass is concerned, the winners are as follows. Tied for first place are the Airpods Pro and the Sony XM3s. Third place goes to the Galaxy Buds Plus. Then tied for last place are the Airpods Gen 2 and the Sennheiser True 2. Got so many earbuds here. So here's the thing. The AirPods Pro and the XM3s both take the cake, but for different reasons. The XM3 possesses the better bass quality of them all, but can get forward on a few tracks. You can get a bit too forward. That said, the bass quality is still great on the AirPods Pro and possess a more neutral response that agrees with a wider number of genres. So, you know, it's more about what you listen to here, but yeah, that said, the bass quality is better on the Sonys. Overall, the Galaxy Buds Plus possess a somewhat forward response in the bass section and produce decent quality bass for its price. However, it really just sits like smack dab right down the middle. I mean, it's not impressive bass, it's not terrible bass, it is. Last on the list are the Airpods Gen 2 and the Sennheiser True 2. Although the Sennheiser possess far greater bass than the Airpods Gen 2, they are plagued by a tinny sounding bass response. It's kind of strange, really. Now, it's great bass performance, but it's just a bad character to it. Now the Airpods Gen 2, on the flip side, possess terrible extension and a mid-bass so meaty, and I'm gonna bring it back, very few EQs are able to remedy the issue. I mean, the only one that I kind of heard remedy the issue somewhat is Spotify's EQ on my iPad. But I tried doing the same thing using the Phonograph EQ, which is, Phonograph is the app I use on Android for my local playlist, and it just didn't. It was still way up there, despite my best efforts and despite trying to, well, reduce the amount of distortion that I'm introducing with an EQ, you know? Now, as far as mids are concerned, the winner here is the XM3. This one takes it first place. Second place, Airpods Gen 2. I know, right? They actually won something in the sound category? Yeah, they did. 3. It's a tie between the Airpods Pro and the Galaxy Buds Plus. And dead last are the Sennheiser True 2. The XM3 possessed the clearest mids out of the bunch and possesses slightly more intense mid section. And the Airpods Gen 2, whether you like it or not, actually take the second place here, sporting a surprisingly clear and detailed mid section. Believe it or not. The boomy bass can be ignored in certain tracks, and that's where the mids really take the stage. Their timbre is somewhat on the lush side of things, which make mids very comfortable to listen to. Honestly, I was pretty surprised with these. It's like, wow, actual decent mids. Now the AirPods Pro and the Galaxy Buds Plus, like I said, tied for third place, but for different reasons. The AirPods possess a more natural timbre, while the Buds possess slightly more detail to the mids, but just less natural, just a little more, I don't know, kind of not muddy, but just kind of like extra thickness applied to it, but not in a good way. Dead last are the Sennheiser True 2, which possess some pretty detailed mids, but are ruined by their really like cuppy timbre. Cuppy a word? I hope it is. Their mids really do sound like how the True 2 look. Like you see the way these look. They look like a cup. Like they look like a tiny little ashtray. You just kind of like, you know, just pour your ashes in there, and that's what this thing looks like. It looks like the sound is coming from an ashtray. There's some sort of cup-like shape. Sorry, I grew up with smokers, okay? Now, as far as the treble's concerned, the winners are as follows. First place goes to the AirPods Pro. Second place goes to the Galaxy Buds Plus and the Sony XM3s. They're tied. Third place, or I guess fourth place, would be to the AirPods Gen 2, and dead last are the Sennheiser True 2. So, the AirPods Pro, although somewhat forward in the treble, possesses the best highs from this lineup. They have very decent detail, not extremely forward, and decent control of the spectrum. I was pretty impressed, really was. Now the Galaxy Buds Plus and the Sony XM3s are, well, they tied for second place, but for different reasons. The XM3 possess far better treble quality than the Buds Plus, but it's far too forward on treble-heavy tracks and can be too much for me. And like I said, you can apply that farther EQ where you go down an additional decibel on both sliders, and I think it should be fine. But still, trying to test as stock as possible while applying some correction. The Galaxy Buds, on the other hand, don't have excellent treble quality and are somewhat forward as well, but they do exhibit far more control and neutrality than the XM3 do, so, I mean, pick your poison. The AirPods Gen 2 are a generally dark-sounding headphone, well, earphone, which becomes even more apparent because of the ridiculous bass bloat, but I must congratulate them for not possessing any of that Bluetooth sound, which is typically like a very thin and just kind of like digital electronic sounding noise, so to speak. Not that there's an additional noise in the background, but I mean that the sound that you're hearing sounds pretty like digital and electronic somehow, just kind of thin. Their treble is still very easy to listen to, even if it lacks a crap ton of detail. The Sennheisers possess a decent amount of detail, but they are also plagued by a terrible treble timbre. That was really tough to pronounce. Try saying that 10 times. Sounding like the treble is coming from a tin can. Like, yeah, they just sound fake. They sound like fake somehow. It's just a weird sound. Like, yes, detailed, very detailed, but tinny treble like a cup. I don't know. Weird. Really just weird. Soundstage and imaging. The winners are as follows. You got the Sennheiser True 2 and the XM3s tying for first place. Then you got the AirPods Pro in third place, Galaxy Buds Plus in fourth place, and the AirPods Gen 2 dead last. So look, when I started comparing the contestants for this section, I first heard, and by the way, I went alphabetical order. I first heard some very similar results between the AirPods Pro, Gen 2, and Buds Plus. Like, it was pretty comparable. I said like, okay, well, this is probably not gonna be a landslide. But then I heard the Sennheisers and I was like wonderfully impressed. There was more than just like left and right to the imaging, as I've heard with truly wireless earbuds. Like I could actually hear different levels of altitude and height from where they were coming from. So an example here, the 351 mark in Hotel California by the Eagles. It kind of like, you hear bongos like kind of trail off from the right side to the left side. It's super apparent. But on okay headphones, you can hear it go from right to left. On great headphones, you can hear it go from right to middle to kind of left, and then end at the absolute leftmost region, more or less. And I could hear that with these when I could not hear that with anything else. And because I've been testing these back to back and pretty much only listening to my HD600s when I'm at my desk for, you know, the sake of reference, I was really impressed to hear something that wasn't like as you know, plain and straightforward as truly wireless earbuds have sounded to me thus far. I was actually like taken aback a little bit, like, wow, hey, that's some hi-fi stuff. Now, the Sonys were also excellent, but not quite as close as the True 2, in my opinion. Like, yes, they were very good. Yes, they were better than the other three, but not quite as good as the Sennheisers, not quite as multi-dimensional there. Now, as far as the Pros go, the Gen 2, well, as far as the Pros, Gen 2, and Buds Plus go, the results were quite comparable. No real complaints here, but nothing amazing either. All I can really say is that the Gen 2 do possess a bit of an open sound to them due to the nature of their design. Now, some notes and observations here. Because these are wireless products, I have faced certain issues with each of these at some point throughout my ownership. The Airpods Gen 2 sometimes experience connectivity issues where only the right side connected to the device for some reason. After a few seconds, they would automatically correct themselves, but I mean, it was annoying having to listen to the track on only one side, and then it's like, oh, there it is, you know? Although I also experienced these issues with the Airpods Pro, this occurred more frequently with the Pros. However, the issue would not correct itself unless I placed them back in their case, closed the lid, reopened it, and took them out again. I don't know, man. I don't know. With the Pros, they often fail to turn off after placing them back in their case and closing it. Like, I was forced to reopen the case, because I'm a detective. I removed them, put them back in, and then shut it off again. With the Galaxy Buds Plus, the placement of their touch-sensitive buttons made me push them on accident quite frequently. Also, I did not like the fact that my unit may have some sort of driver issue, probably related to a firmware update or they're simply defective. I can't tell you for sure because it's the only pair of Galaxy Buds Plus that I've ever heard. So all I can say is, at first I thought that was additional detail I've never heard before. Turns out it's just a detail. I absolutely struggled to make the Sony XM3s stay in my ears at all, like any point in time. These things, like, it's a huge complaint for me because, all right, now I'm gonna get to ranting in the conclusion, but with the Buds Plus, the Sony XM3s, and the Sennheiser True 2s, pairing them with your device can be the most complicated since they all require an app to connect to the device. Now, this can be the easiest with the Buds Plus if you have a Galaxy device, because you already have the app pre-downloaded and ready to go, and you literally just open these up, and just like the Apple experience where it shows you the, you know, flashy looking like 3D model of the headphone or the earphone, and then it shows like tap to connect, and then it connects, right? It does a similar thing on Galaxy, so that was really nice. The Sennheiser experience is the most complex of them all, since it also requires that you plug in your charger while pairing them for the absolute first time. I thought that was like, come on. Also, the app is quite terrible, making the entire struggle a mostly moot point. The Sony experience is the most rewarding since it allows you to customize your earbuds the most, and even allows for a custom yet simplified EQ to be applied only to those particular XM3s. So I guess out of these bottom three, I guess would be Galaxy, Sony, Sennheiser. But the Sony do give you slightly better EQ customization, so there is that. Now for the conclusion to this ever so long video. For the following grading system, I applied 2 points for comfort and fitment, since I find these to me one of the most important aspects of a good earphone. On the other hand, I chose to deduct a point if the fitment and comfort was absolutely unbearable. So I applied 1 point to the top 3 in build quality, I applied 1 point to the top 3 in range, 1 point to those with water resistant, 1 point to the top 3 in terms of latency, 1 point to the top 3 in terms of battery life, 1 point to those that offer noise cancellation, 1 point to the top 3 per section in sound quality, and then I deducted 1 point for each gripe I had with it in the notes/observation section. So because this video is called Best Sound Quality, we're going to start with the sound quality section alone. As far as sound quality goes, the Gen 2 received 1 point, the Airpods Pro received 3.5, the Galaxy Buds Plus received 3, the Sennheiser True 2 received 0.5, and the Sony XM3 received 2.5. So if we're talking about sound quality alone for the value and overall, the Airpods Pro take the cake by half a point. Second place would be the Buds Plus, third place would be the XM3s, fourth place would be the Airpods Gen 2, and dead last are the Sennheiser True 2. But if we're adding in the additional factors of like build, comfort, and the technology it offers, and the noise cancellation and water resistance and all that, the winners are as follows. First place is tied between the Airpods Pro and the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus, yielding a grand total of 6 points. Hold on, I'm mistaken. You know what, screw it, I'm gonna deduct 2 points to him. Okay, the overall winner here, it's a three-way tie between the Airpods Pro, the Galaxy Buds Plus, and the Sony XM3s. So now fourth place to that would be the Airpods Gen 2 and the Sennheiser True 2, which actually tie for those last 2 places, with a total of 2 points. So here's the thing. As far as the winners are concerned, you can choose the Airpods Pro for best all-rounders. You can choose the Galaxy Buds Plus if you prefer those additional functionality options that it gives you on Galaxy phones, and if you prefer a more stable fit than the Pros have to offer, and if you want to save some money and go ahead and spend $150 retail as opposed to spending $250 retail. Yeah, you're going to hear a difference in the sound quality. It's not going to be as good, and you're definitely going to have tiny little issues, but price to performance, the Buds Plus do outrank the Pros. Now we get to the Sony XM3s, and here's the thing with the XM3s. Honestly, if those fit my ears, I would throw all of these away and just use the XM3s, because the XM3s are absolute kings, and they sound beautiful, amazing, and the functionality and the EQ and the universal compatibility across both iOS and Android, and it's perfect, except they don't fit anybody's ears. Unless you have massive ear canals, in which case these go in like that, and then this is the only part that ends up sticking out, which that would be so ideal, but fact of the matter is, this is how it fits on me. And you've got all this extra garbage sitting outside, so you can't even wear these. Look, I would throw all of these away and just keep the Sonys if they fit me beautifully. But the fact of the matter is, they fit very few people well. Very few people. I really don't see these being a good buy unless Sony decides to one day throw in some wingtips. Because if they throw in wingtips, it's game over for the competition. Sony wins by a landslide because the technology, sound quality, and everything else that they've packed in here just take the cake. I mean, look, water resistance would be a plus as well, because that means you don't have to worry about these getting wet. I would really appreciate that as well. But more than anything, I want better fitment out of these. Now, if you want better fitment, you can save some money, go with the Galaxy Buds Plus. They're great. They're alright. The sound quality, they're the least impressive out of the 3 winners. They'll do the job, but they do offer the best fit. They do offer some very universal compatibility as well. And they're awesome as well. Also, very light footprint. If you're looking for the best all-rounders, those would be the Pros for sure, because these offer second best sound quality in this, out of the 3 winners. They offer a very good fit as well, very comfortable, and they're one of the few earbuds that won't stick out and look terrible in public. Not a lot of earbuds look terrible in public, but you know, at the end of the day, Sony, you have to step up your game as far as the comfort goes. Like, stop thinking about the technical aspects of things, which you've already got down. You've already got that down, okay? You need to start worrying about the actual, about practicality. How practical are these massive things without wingtips that are just gonna fall out of people's ears? Amazing. So ultimately, all I can really say is, it's unfortunate. It is quite unfortunate. That's pretty much going to do it for me. Out of all of these, which do I pick for myself? It's a tough question. I think I'm gonna make an update video, not included as a review, just sort of update you with which I chose for my favorite out of all of these, and which I ended up keeping out of all the truly wireless, which I ended up getting rid of, and why. So stick around for that. Thank you very much for sticking around for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as usual. Check out the Patreon. Let me know what you want to see out of the Patreon. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.